The crack? No, not the book crack. The crack for me of realising that from being a boy and turning myself into a man is that accepting the thing that I was running away from, and that was silence. And sitting in silence with my thoughts, not allowing myself to, I guess, like meditate in stillness. You don't have to meditate like this. Meditation is just focusing on something and being present, right? So just being present with your thoughts, being aware of your thoughts, being aware of your body. So like right now, I'm feeling my fingertip, my thumb tips. That's a really weird thing to say. Focusing on my thumb tips is an act of meditation because I'm focusing on a point of contact, right? So whether I'm slouching or sitting up straight, that's me meditating on where I am or where something is, right? So meditation means many things, and sitting in the silence of meditation, in the silence of just not doing anything, the practicing of doing nothing, and just feeling how my mind feels in that moment, was something that I was very shameful of, afraid of, and just pushed away until I guess I became so curious of just searching out for solutions, things that I can do as a young teen to remove myself from how I felt to how I want to feel, right? Which is not this. I didn't know how I wanted to feel because I've never felt probably that way before. So I was just trying to remove myself from where I was to where I want to be. And you may be in the same situation where you're not very happy at where you are right now. And as a consequence of that, if you don't move towards a direction that I guess is uncertain, you will always remain in this place, right? So the consequence for me of not doing nothing, so the act of me just staying as I am, I'm not trying different things to remove myself from this mind state, then I'm going to remain in this little bubble and of self-destructive habits and just pure damn right nastiness in here again. You know what it's like to be a young lad in his fucking 20s living in this day and age. The aim for me in the silence was just to listen in the end. Something that I found of just accepting it. It's uncomfortable and it holds a lot of discomfort. But the role it played in seeing and understanding my thoughts and realising most importantly that I wasn't my thoughts. And that was the biggest thing for me. The greatest fucking realisation that I've had is I am not my thoughts, but I am my thoughts at the same time. So it's a paradox. Coming to terms with that, it is also coming to terms with understanding that you are not your thoughts. And it is a crazy thing to feel because you feel it. You feel it when you're sad, you feel it when you're angry. But also the main thing here is you don't have to take your identity into it. You don't have to place the nucleus of your identity within your thoughts and feelings. You can just remain here. This is your identity. And think of a mind map, right? You've got things shooting off, thoughts shooting off. You can choose ones that you enjoy, and also you can create them as well. So they come up. So let's say you're pissed off with someone at work. You're also angry at your dad or your mum or your sister or sibling. But then you feel so shameful of something that happened in your past. These are all things that make up you, and you have a choice of whether you choose to identify with them. And that's your identity, right? Identity can be made up of all the thoughts and feelings and experiences that you've had, but also you choose whether you're a part of them, right? So you choose whether you identify with being an angry colleague at work, right? You can just either be angry and realise the consequence of being angry, and then also remove yourself from being that way or responding that way or reacting that way to that version of you who doesn't like the way Susan says something towards you. So what you do is just blank Susan out a little bit. No offence to her, you two just don't work out. So you're just going to remove yourself and relieve yourself from the temptation of being like that. Reduce that scenario to happen again, right? So you cut that part of you off, you burn the bridge between you and that person that you don't want to become. And that's how, I guess, deciphering and testing out and taking risks and trying to be you is one of the greatest ways to understand whether you associate and want to be certain ways. Like, we all typically want to be a good person, so what are the traits of a good person? You figure that out in your own way, because what my definition of being a good person is different to yours. So if that's what you want to work towards and that's what you deem as a successful life, well, that defines a successful life as being a good person, then define what a good person means to you and figure out whether your actions in life, right, are and do replicate that. And another realisation that the silence gave me was I didn't want to be the version of me who protected me when I was younger, right? The past defines who we are in this present moment. Okay, so we have a choice moving forwards whether we want to identify with that version of ourselves or not. Okay, so the silence taught me this, is that I recognize patterns of behavior that serve me when I needed it, in those moments that I had when I was either dealing or just trying to cope with situations. And as you know, we've all got coping mechanisms of the potential tragedies that we've experienced in the past, or things that we've had to deal with because of life, and we've been handed these deck of cards and we've had to choose them, right, and had to use them in that sense. But the greatest piece of freedom that this silence and just sitting with myself and my thoughts is that I don't have to identify with the deck of cards that I've been given. I can choose them by working with the ones I've got, testing them out. Do they serve me? This one does, this one does, this one doesn't. So what I'm going to do is just swap that one out and replace it with maybe the opposite thing of what that is, whether it's me reacting to things and getting angry. So then instead what I do, when I feel like I'm going to get angry, then I'm just going to breathe, remove myself from the situation for at least 20 minutes and just have that time for myself just to rethink and be like, whoa, what is going on here? Trying to understand why I feel angry, and then just carry on with my day and not try to, whether I need to apologise as well, because again, that's also a thing. The consequence of being a certain way, you have to then be accountable for your actions. Ownership, right? But it gave me understanding of, if I feel like it's about this certain thing, do I have to feel it again? Do I have to react the same way? And no is the answer. You don't have to react in the same way. You can choose to respond in a way that plays better in your favour. And the thing is, we're all scared of something. And myself, I was scared of being alone with my thoughts because I associated myself so hard with them. I identified with them so badly that I thought I was a terrible person for thinking those things. And you're not, because your thoughts aren't you. You choose to give them space. You choose to give them attention that they don't deserve, because you know you're acting in a way where you're shameful or ashamed and guilty for feeling those things or seeing those images in your mind. You become isolated because of it, because you don't want to feel like you're a burden to other people. You don't want to feed that energy into other people because you feel toxic. You feel like a drain. You feel like a parasite, and you isolate yourself even further because you're in a cycle. So if you are in that cycle, and if you do relate to me in some sort of way, whether you have felt shameful on whatever spectrum, whether it's insane, extreme shame, or whether it's just light shame, right? Just a little Salt Bay version of shame. Like, you have your choice moving forwards whether you associate with yourself with them. And a great way to counteract this is just write down how you feel, and then how do you want to feel, or is this feeling serving me? And what the science has taught me is to question everything, question my thoughts and feelings, because that's a way to remove yourself from it and to become the identifier of your emotions. And then you can choose. You can accept it or be like, nah, this doesn't serve me. So the silence teaches you how to build the floodgates from your mind, right? Being able to say, well, this is the time to let these emotions in and feelings, and then this is also the time to not associate myself with those sorts of feelings. But again, the beauty of existence is the fact that we do feel and can associate ourselves with an array of emotions and feelings that then send images, thoughts, feelings, and potential stories out into our reality, and then we also can then feel them in our personal reality. So it's a beautiful thing, for sure. Don't alienate certain emotions and feelings and thoughts and things that you associate with. But what you can do then is, instead of feel like you're pushing it away and resisting, don't feel like this. And something again that I've done as well, because I've focused in the past of being so happy for everyone that hasn't served me, right? And this is where you can make a decision in the quiet, in the stillness, in the silence, to become a more real version of yourself, because you're choosing it. You're not allowing life to choose a life for you that you haven't chosen. You're taking the fucking reins because you're a young man and you're capable of so much fucking more, that you can and are capable of taking the reins of your own life to become more real. Not because you want to become real for anyone else, but it's because it's going to keep you sane, keep you happy, keep you on a level in this reality where you can experience and appreciate everything that life has to offer. And that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of choosing your thoughts, choosing your feelings, choosing how you want to show up. in and around your friends and to yourself, most importantly. Yeah.